Okay, so the next shape I want to talk to you about is called a cylinder, and it's something that we should all be familiar with if we've ever eaten Pringles or had a can of pop, soda, whatever you want to call it. You are familiar with a cylinder. Cylinders are a little bit tricky though because they involve circles, and circles involve pi and the radius and the diameter, and so we want to make sure that we have all those things figured out. So with a cylinder, we have a couple things to think about. One is we have a circle on the top, a circle on the bottom. Those are represented by 2 pi r squared. So now the 2 throws a lot of people off because they see that and they think, area of a circle is pi r squared. The circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. Why is he doing 2 pi r squared? Well, the 2 just represents the 2 circles that we have. So I'm just multiplying the area of a circle times 2. So let's back up and now look at the other part. The other part is the trickier part, actually. So if you've ever taken the label off of the side of a can, so here we go. If this is the side of the can, and you take the label off the side of the can, what you get is a rectangle. You end up with a rectangular piece of paper if you've ever taken the label off like a can of soup or something like that. And the dimensions of that rectangle are represented by the height of the cylinder, or the height of the can. And then the top dimension is the tricky one. Well, if you think about it, that piece of paper went all the way around the can, which is a circle, and it made one entire revolution. Well, one entire revolution of a circle is the circumference of a circle. So the top and bottom edges are the circumference, which we can either write as pi d or 2 pi r, right? It's your choice. And in this case, we're given d, so we might want to use pi d, right? Okay, so what do we need to find? Well, first things first, we got to find the circumference of the circle, right? So let's find the circumference of the circle because we have the height over here is 4. You know what? One thing we could do is we could say, hey, I know that this dimension here is 4, and that's my diameter, right? That means my radius is half of that, so my radius is 2. So just so I have these things handy, right? And so this is my h over here. So this is the height. So the only thing I need to find is the circumference of the circle. So we're going to use pi d. And let's see, our d is 4. So we're going to say c is equal to pi times 4. And there's a note that I want to make here about pi. Now, if you use the pi button, it goes on forever. And so there's this really, really long decimal. And you're going to get a different answer than if you were to use 3.14. Now, for consistency, what I would love to see everyone do is for pi, always use 3.14. That way we'll be consistent, and when you enter answers in the future into Schoology, you get to keep every single decimal that you get instead of rounding stuff. Okay, so use 3.14. So we're going to do that when we find the circumference. So if we take 3.14 and multiply it times 4, in this case, we're going to get 12.56. Okay, so now we can go back to red here. And we can just find the surface area now because we have c, we have h, which is the height, we have pi, we have r, we know everything we need. All right, so we're just going to say, all right, so the surface area is equal to, my pen doesn't like Notability very much at all. I might have to switch to a different app. It works way better in other apps. So here we go. Surface area is equal to the circumference, 12.56, times the height. Remember, the height over here is 4 inches. And then we have 2 pi r squared. So 2 pi and then the r is 2, and squared. Okay, so we got a lot of simplifying to do. Remember, use 3.14 for that second pi over there so we don't get some crazy decimals. So we have 12.56 times 4. Well, that's 50.24. And then if we simplify this whole thing on the right-hand side, it ends up being 25.12. It's exactly half of 50.24. There's a relationship. Come on, I'm trying to erase that bad looking 2. Here we go. Okay, so then I just have to add them together. So the surface area is equal to 75.36 inches squared. And I'm going to keep all that decimal because I can.